Thanks for your support of the Dirt Doctor podcast. Quick reminder, you can visit dirtdoctor.com to click on the Ask Howard button and get a question submitted. He'd be happy to read and answer your question on the show and continue his quest to convert the world to organics. Without further ado, here he is, my dad, the Dirt Doctor, Howard Garrett.
All right, good morning. Let's get the podcast going. Got a lot to cover. Questions coming in this week, and I want to talk about the calendar a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the usual things. My tea, first of all, is Juniper, and I've run into something interesting. I'm noticing that when I do the Juniper tea made from eastern red cedar, native Juniper, that I don't have itchy eyes and kind of stopped up nose in the morning, and I do have it later in the day. I'm going to try doing the tea later in the day also and see if that helps any. May just be, there's a lot right now, a lot of elm and oak pollen, and it's just a typical kind of thing to have. But anyway, the Juniper tea is a great flavor. Anyway, the SPCA report, there is a terrific dog in the SPCA report today here in Dallas-Fort Worth areas where Rocket is, 1-year-old shepherd, and he's just a terrific looking dog, so check him out. His ears are especially good, but the report is sweet and lovable, loves people, and would be a great pickup wherever you are in the country. Support your local rescue organizations, really appreciate it. And we've got several dogs that are still on our website. Just look at the pet adoption button on dirtdoctor.com, and there's some other great ones that are still there and need a home. Okay. Let's see, let's just get right into questions. One of the questions that came in was interesting because it's such a not worry. I was asked about an asparagus planting being near the house, and were the asparagus roots dangerous to the foundation? And the answer is not in any way. The asparagus roots are very shallow. If you have a grade beam of any kind, you don't even have to have a strong one. In this case, it wouldn't be a problem with asparagus roots. I rarely have a problem with tree roots around houses. Yes, they can be a problem. If you have a damaged foundation, or if you have a water leak under the house or something like that, tree roots can be a problem. But for 99% or more of the people out there with trees around the house, the grade beam functions as a root barrier. You don't have to even put a new root barrier in. If you want to, it's fine. It's probably a waste of money in most cases, but having a foundation company or an insurance company or a contractor recommend that you cut down the trees that are pretty close to the house. There's one thing you need to remember about that. If that really is a problem, you need to cut down all the trees on your property, because if you have any kind of a normal residential property and have trees, especially larger ones, of course, those tree roots are going to cover the entire property, and they're going to be a problem. So you're going to have, if you think it's really an issue, you're going to have to take down all the trees. Our house, we probably have 7 trees that are within 7 feet of the foundation. There are millions of properties around the world that have trees near the house, near the building. There are houses that have been built around trees. So yes, it can be a problem, but no, I don't recommend being too dramatic about it. If you think your tree might be a problem, get an arborist to come out and use the air spade, the same tool that we use to uncover flares and do the sick tree treatment, and uncover the soil, take the soil off right at the grade beam of the house, and see what the roots are doing. You can see whether they're doing what normally happens. They grow over and hit the foundation, and then they just kind of cluster and mass against the foundation. Rarely do they dip and go under the house. If you had a leak, or if you had a broken foundation, or if you had some weird thing that you need to fix anyway going on, yeah, there's a possibility. But if the foundation is solid, whether it's a pier and beam or a slab, normally those roots would hit the beam and spread, being blocked by the foundation. So asparagus, definitely no problem. Trees, big woody plants, rarely a problem, okay? Question about dry molasses, using it, and treatments for fire ants came in at the same time. And it's interesting because that is the treatment for fire ants for most of you. If you broadcast dry molasses, which is available at feed stores and garden centers that sell organic products, you put the dry molasses in your fertilizer spreader, spread it across the entire property, the fire ants will no longer be a problem in 99.9% of the cases. I've had, of the thousands of people that have reported to me about using this technique over the years, I've had about 3 that told me it did not get rid of the fire ants. And in every case where it didn't get rid of the fire ants, there was an unusual condition, and that was there was a big slab out on the property that wasn't related to the house. It was another slab somewhere, basketball court or tennis court or something like that. And the fire ants were taking advantage of the slab and had hung around that slab, being under it and at the side of it. If that happens, doing a second application of the dry molasses, and if you have any individual fire ant mounds pop up, which sometimes happens, you can drench the Garrett juice, mix Garrett juice like you were going to spray, and put 2 ounces of orange oil in it. That changes it from Garrett juice, the wonderful liquid fertilizer, foliar feed, root stimulator and everything, to a killing product. And you pour it right in the center of the mound so it gets down to the bottom of the mound, and then swirl it around on the rest of the mound. That gets the queen, that gives you the best chance of killing the queen. And then you can spread it out on the area around the mound, and it will kill. The 2 ounces of orange oil will kill the ants in mounds. It won't usually burn the grass. If it does, it'll be a temporary yellowing and it will go away. You can also broadcast beneficial nematodes. That's another question that I've gotten. Is it time to put out beneficial nematodes? Yes, the answer is yes. I recommend that to all gardeners, all landscape people. I recommend it for contractors to do it where they can get their customers to allow them to do it. Beneficial nematodes will control a lot of different pests that will be coming around later on for you. Any pest that has one of its life cycles in the ground, which is most of them, it works on fleas and ticks better than anything you can do. It works on termites. It works on all kinds of pests. It's not that expensive to do. Broadcast, put them in water, put them out with either a hose end sprayer, or like I do, just walk around, slosh them out with a big watering can. Works great. The other thing I recommend for all gardeners and landscape people to do right now is put out trichogramma wasps. Now, you can order them now. Those of you that are in the north where the leaves haven't started to emerge yet, you've got a little bit more time. People south of me, I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, things maybe have already leafed out. You missed the ideal time, but you're still very much in the window for doing it for both of them, beneficial nematodes and trichogramma wasps. When the leaves start to emerge in the spring, that's when we put it out. We're in February here, so we have some plants that are saying winter's over and they're starting to leaf out. We've got others that haven't even begun yet. So we're in the early stage of that window for you. So yes, I do recommend that, and I recommend it for all gardeners. Will the liquid molasses work as well? For some reason, the dry molasses works better on the fire ants, so put it out. It functions like a mild fertilizer too. We're also in the window, I'll talk about it when we talk about the calendar, but we're in the window for that first major organic fertilization of the year. We do it anywhere from January through February and March, but February is a perfect time to put out one of the blends, organic blend fertilizers at 20 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And I don't care which one you buy, some of the fertilizers will give you a different recommendation on how strongly to put it out. I recommend the 15 to 20 pounds per 1,000 square feet no matter what you're using, and that includes corn gluten meal. Question is in about how do you properly, in fact I had several questions on this, how do I properly put out pre-emergent herbicide for the summer weeds. I had that at one of the speaking engagements I did, one I did last Saturday. The answer to that is I don't recommend pre-emergent herbicides at all. I think they're very toxic. I think they do a lot of damage, and I don't recommend them ever. What I do recommend that's an organic pre-emergent is corn gluten meal. Corn gluten meal is the protein fraction of cornmeal, whole ground cornmeal. And it's produced when corn products are made, the high fructose corn syrup, when it's made, the corn gluten meal, the protein is kicked off as a byproduct. It was just fed to animals, to livestock and all for a long time until Iowa State discovered that it made a great pre-emergent and organic fertilizer. So putting it out right now at that same rate, 20 pounds per 1,000 square feet, if you hit the timing just right, will work great for you. It'll work as a fertilizer no matter what, and it might function as a pre-emergent herbicide for you as well. Questions on henbit, which is a common weed right now. It's all over the place. In fact, in my vegetable garden, it looks like the healthiest crop there. It can be left. It's a herb. A lot of people use it in teas and various kinds of things. It's really easy to get rid of if it's in the turf. You simply mow it, and it's gone because it grows taller than the grass, the turf grasses. So that's fine. You can spray vinegar on it if you want to, but that's more trouble than it's worth. Pulling it out by hand in the vegetable garden or leaving it there and then tossing mulch on top of it, either way is fine. But henbit is not a big problem at all. And it's kind of a pretty wildflower. It has purple flowers. The featured book, and I was going to show it to you again today, and all of them I have are wrapped, so I'll show you that next time, but you can see it on dirtdoctor.com. The book Herbs for Texas covers all of the culinary and medicinal herbs and the uses that I recommend, and all the information about how to control pests on them and all that. So check that book out if you haven't seen it. It's one of the books that we have available still here at our office. If you are interested, send me an email to info@dirtdoctor.com and we'll tell you how to get one of those. Right now, the chemical pushers are starting to recommend what's called broadleaf herbicides in general. Their timing, and they're right, it's the same timing for the corn gluten meal. They're saying it's time to do that. Products like Dimension and Halts and Baylan and things like that, stay away from them. They are not good. And the broadleaf herbicides and things like 2,4-D, all of the chemical herbicides that I recommend are the worst products for you to be used if you have pets. There's a real strong relationship between cancer and the use of the broadleaf herbicides. If you want to kill the plants, use the corn gluten meal. Okay, calendars we're going to talk about in just a minute, go through them for you. Questions on mulches in beds around trees. You want to mulch all bare soil, but do not pile the soil up on the flares of the trees. You want to come right to the flare, and then as the flare starts to move up on whatever woody plant it is, from grapes to Montezuma cypress, you don't want to pile the mulch or soil, or let plants grow on the flares of trees. The other thing you don't want to do, you want to use mulch, but we don't want to use the plastic weed blocking fabrics and just solid plastic like some people use under the mulch. Never. Well, one situation where you can use the plastic under gravel if you want to, that's in a utility area where there are no plants at all. That it's okay to do that because you're ruining the soil. When you put fabric, plastic material under mulch, you're disturbing the most important level of the soil, the surface of the soil under the mulch, where the perfect temperature and biological activity should be, the perfect moisture should be, all the things should be perfect. Put a piece of plastic there, you spoil all that. So don't do the plastic. I've got an event coming up, mark on your calendar. It's at the Lee Lockwood Library and Museum. There's a famous cemetery there, and it's related to that. If you go to my website, dirtdoctor.com, and look at the events, you'll see it there. March the 5th, it's in the afternoon, it's 3 o'clock or 3:30, something like that. It's on my website. But I'll be doing the basic talk and talking a lot about trees, as I always do. So it's open to the public, so come down and see us there. I will have with me some of the buckeyes from my front yard. I've got a beautiful Mexican buckeye in the front yard. I got 5 different kinds of buckeyes, but the Mexican buckeye in the front yard really produced a lot of acorns this year, and I will have some with me to give you if you would like to get Mexican buckeye started. And they germinate very easily. If you treat the Mexican buckeye or any seed that you plant with Garrett juice before you plant it, you'll get almost 100% germination. It's remarkable what it does. And you'll get quicker germination, and you'll get more even germination. And that goes for your herbs and your vegetable garden seed and things that are like, I had a question about where to get horse herb seed. I got a tip there, but it may not be a perfect tip. I talked to Dean at Douglas King Seed about this for myself last year. If they could get the horse herb seed, I would give them a call or send them an email and see if they have any in stock. If they don't, I know they're working on getting a supply. And that would be a good way to go. If you aren't able to find horse herb seed, which is one of my favorite ground covers, it's a native ground cover. Some people call it straggler daisy, but I call it horse herb because I like it. I think it's a beautiful ground cover. It's perennial. It dies back in a harsh winter, but then comes back out like gangbusters in the spring. Has little yellow flowers, and that's a tip for you. When it is in bloom, whether you have some in your garden or you see some somewhere else in the place you live, you can mow it, and in this rare case, catch the clippings. I normally don't recommend catching the clippings, but in this case, catch the clippings and then distribute those clippings in another place where you want the horse herb to grow. And you'll be amazed how you'll move those tiny little, almost microscopic black seed to a new location. Works very well for you. Let's see what was next before the calendars. Let's talk about, well, we had somebody that responded to the Ask Howard, and by the way, that's where most of these are coming in. When you're on dirtdoctor.com, our new website, and if you haven't checked it out, do. It's we're getting really good reviews. It's working very well. Still fine-tuning it, but it's working great already. There's an Ask Howard part of the website. It's right there on the homepage up at the top. There's 2 buttons. One says Ask Howard, the other says YouTube, and YouTube will take you to the area where my videos are, these podcasts are, and things like that. So it's a real easy way to find stuff. You can send me a question like this person did, Rainey, and in Portugal. Believe it or not, asking me about an almond tree that's being eaten by some kind of worms, wondering if the sick tree treatment will help. And said this is one of two questions that I've got that included copper in the question. Said, would copper electroculture help get rid of these bugs and help heal the trunk of the tree? I don't know. I haven't used that technique. And so I told this listener that give it a try and let me know how it works. Normally, I don't recommend copper. And that's what the second question was. And yes, I did recommend the sick tree treatment, pull the soil away from the base of almond trees, or any kind of trees, any kind of fruit tree, nut tree, whatever. Get the flare dramatically exposed, and then apply all the amendments that are the rest of the basic organic program, the detox program, and the sick tree treatment. It's compost and organic fertilizer, rock minerals, lava sand and azomite, and the sugars, the dry molasses, and the whole ground cornmeal. And if you can't get those specific ones, we on the website will give you tips on other things that will work maybe as well that you might be able to find instead. But anyway, almond trees, sick tree treatment. The other question that involved copper was this person sending me a question from where in the world it is. Frost, Texas, south of Italy, Texas. Okay, great. They got the worst clay soil in the world, but they say they have massive sections of and layers of mold in the soil, which is a little curious, but let's just assume it is mold. That would be fungal. The fungal treatment for soil situations like that would be cornmeal, whole ground cornmeal. If you've got it real severely and you've got really, really lousy soil, the tip for you is to the first step, drench the area with hydrogen peroxide. And in this case, if you don't have too big an area to treat, you can get the 3% hydrogen peroxide from the grocery store, the stuff that comes in a little brown quart bottle. Mix it with water, 50-50, drench it in the area where you have a fungus or bacterial diseases even. It's so good on both of those things. And then follow up with the detox program or the basic organic program that would include the whole ground cornmeal. Cornmeal might do it by itself, but if you treat with the hydrogen peroxide first, then treat with the cornmeal, that's probably an even better way to go. And this person also said they treated last year with a copper fungicide, Captain Jack's product. That's probably a good product. They make some organic stuff and they make some chemical products as well. I am very reluctant to recommend single element treatments, whether you're talking about trying to adjust the chemistry of the soil or treat an insect or a disease problem. And the reason is if you treat with copper by itself, or with boron, or with molybdenum, or with whatever, iron products tend to be from really waste products and can be really contaminated. The azomite is a much better way to go there. But if you treat with a single element product, it's real easy to go too far and create a bigger problem than you had to start with. When you're putting out single element products like copper and boron and things like that, you need tiny, tiny amounts. And that's why I recommend using compost and organic fertilizers and compost teas and the Garrett juice mixture and, the things that we recommend all the time, which are blends of elements. And they have trace levels of those trace minerals that you're looking for in those blend products, especially if you use all the things that we talk about. One of the questions we'll talk about in the calendars is right now it's time to start the basic fruit and pecan tree program. And the first step of it, a lot of people think they need to put out zinc, for example. Well, zinc's a waste product that I don't really recommend buying and using by itself. And I recommend using the program that we've got on the website, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute. But you get trace levels of zinc in all the organic things that we recommend. So going out and buying zinc is something that you don't need to do. And with the copper, using it, you're also going to hurt, a real good chance you're going to hurt beneficial microorganisms more so than the targeted pests, okay? Okay, let's talk about the calendars. And the calendars, you can print them off. They're on the website under monthly calendars. There's a link to it right on the homepage of the website. And what we do in every month, like this is February, and I know we're kind of we're more than halfway through February, but some of you up north, this would still be very appropriate. Those of you even further south, you can go to the April calendar. We have 12, we have one for every calendar. First thing we cover is planting, and we cover what annuals and perennials and food crops you should be planting at this month. And we're still talking about the cool season things like, Brussels sprouts and carrots and cabbage and cauliflower, all the cool season things can still be planted. Also the flowers, calendulas and alyssum and English daisies and Iceland poppies. Dianthus I didn't have on the list, and I've added that for you. One thing really good about the new website is that I have the ability to edit and add things easily now, so I'll add that note. And kind of a last call on transplanting, I need to add a note on that case too. Once you get into the part of the month where the leaves, the buds have broken and the leaves are starting to emerge, you're probably in the most dangerous part of the year to do transplants. You can get away with it if you dig them up and move them quickly to new prepared beds, water them in real well, but you're past the point, once the buds swell and start to break, you're past the ideal time to do transplants. So you just might make a note in your calendar to get to it a little bit earlier next year if you need to do some transplanting. It's time to feed, and I left out the whole feed note. We should say plant and then feed, and feeding is, this is the biggest month of the year for putting out the first major organic fertilizer, like I've already mentioned today. Put out the corn gluten meal or put out one of the blends. Look, when you buy an organic fertilizer, for alfalfa being one of the ingredients in the organic fertilizer. You can look for earthworm castings and fish meal and all kinds of rock minerals and various kinds of things too. That's all great, and I like a blend of a lot of different things, but the alfalfa is terrific. If you can find at your stores where you shop for products, if you can find a product that's just 100% alfalfa pellets, that's a great organic fertilizer. Use it, and you'll see great results. Spray everything, especially the cool season things that are growing with Garrett juice. Make your own. The website covers how to make it yourself, or you can buy a commercial product as well. Next category is pruning, and we cover all the pruning, including peaches and plums and things in the orchard. When to do it, how much percentage to do, and all of that. And like I say, I'll continue to update that for you. It's in pretty good shape right now. On water, one of the things that I've added that I didn't have before that fits into your water thinking and in your monthly calendar is the freeze miser. If you have bought the freeze miser product before and you have it on your hoses and your water troughs and things like that, at this time of the year, I'd leave them there. We might have a late freeze, so leave them there. If you aren't familiar with the freeze miser, get them located and get them set up for you, ready to be helpful for you next winter. What they do is they eliminate your worry about outdoor hose hydrants and faucets and things like that. You can, if you have some short hoses that you leave outside, you can connect the freeze miser to them. But on the faucets, you get it from the hardware store, a V, put your hose on one side, put the freeze miser on the other side. You can still use the hose if you want to, and you have the water open on the freeze miser side. When the temperature gets to 37 degrees, starts to drip, you never have to worry about freeze damage. It's called the freeze miser. Put that into, and I'll add it to the calendar also, that it needs to be part of your water management in your gardens and farms and landscapes. Pest control, we're starting to see pests pop out in February. One of the first ones you'll see is the giant bark aphid. Giant bark aphid just is a giant aphid. It's really big. You'll be surprised that it's an aphid when you see them. They tend to cluster on fairly small branches and twigs. Normally, they're just an amusing thing to see. You'll see ladybugs trying to eat them, and they're bouncing off each other because they're about the same size. It's kind of funny. But if you spray something to kill the giant bark aphids, or even regular size aphids, whether they're yellow or gray or black or what color they are, if you spray something that kills, even the organic sprays like orange oil, you probably are going to be killing more beneficial insects, ladybug adults and larvae and eggs and green lacewings and other beneficials than you are the targeted pests. So the better way to go is to use what is in the organic fruit and pecan tree program. The first spraying at this time of the year should be the products that are simply repellents, not killing sprays. Best in that category are garlic and garlic pepper tea. Unfortunately, and somebody out there needs to do this, put a commercial product on the market for garlic pepper tea. We don't have one right now. You'll have to build it with my recommendations. My recipe is on the homepage of dirtdoctor.com under guides, all in capital letters, Guides, guides. The start of the, like I've already said, the fruit and pecan tree program is now, it's at pink bud. What pink bud means is that when your fruit tree is swelling its buds, but they haven't quite broken, that's when you do that first spraying of garlic pepper tea, or just garlic oil. You can buy garlic oil, commercial products. You can put it in the garlic and the pepper in a blender, blend it, strain the solids out, and make your own. My recipe's right on dirtdoctor.com. Check it out. It's real easy to make if you haven't been able to find commercial products. Okay, and then odd jobs, that just goes for whatever you have going on. Sharpening your tools. If you got rust showing up, if you didn't treat your tools with oil before they were stored for the winter, do that. If you're doing compost piles, don't buy those compost piles that are the little small things that have a crank and turn. They're not worth the money. You don't have enough volume in those products. You need to use big wire cages, or at least 4x4. The Shepherd's composter was the best one. And the last time I looked, it wasn't on the market anymore, but you can pull up Shepherd's composter on dirtdoctor.com, take a look at it, go to the hardware stores, Tractor Supply or something like that, some of the big ones, or some of the private smaller companies too, and buy welded wire, expanded metal, different kinds of wire. Build your own 4x4 or bigger container. Put the material in there, and then to turn it, all you do is get somebody to help you, stand on the other side, lift it up, move it just over a little bit, throw the material in the new location, and that's all the turning that you need, if you do any at all. If you want to do the easiest compost making, get the arborist that's working on your trees or working on the trees down the block to, instead of taking the ground up tree trimmings from the trimmed trees to the landfill, get them to dump that pile on your property. After 9 months, it'll be beautiful compost. It's amazing how perfect the compost is if you simply allow shredded trimmings from a tree care company to break down on the side. If you turn it once or twice, it'll do it even quicker. But if you don't do it at all, if you don't turn it at all, it'll turn into compost in a year, a little less than a year probably. But anyway, those are the things that you'll find in the calendars on dirtdoctor.com. Right on the homepage. We've got real easy connections now to all the major things. If you scroll down on the new website, you'll see me knelt down working on the base of a tree that's right outside here at my office, outside my art studio, a lacy oak, and you'll see a video of me explaining how to do the sick tree treatment in a real quick tutorial. And it'll show you how to get rid of the galls like I had in the lacy oak. I let it get too deep in the ground. I planted it pretty good. I didn't plant it quite as high as I should have. And then through the years, over a period of about 4 years, water coming across the front yard from my neighbors silted it in over the flare. And so I show the whole process of uncovering that and how good the lacy oak looked the next growing season. In fact, it looked perfect. The galls were completely gone. If you want more detail about how to do sick tree treatment, you can sign up for our online class that is on one subject, the sick tree treatment. And I go through even in more detail how to recognize the symptoms of a tree that's sick and how to do the whole procedure called the sick tree treatment. The other online course you can get in the same place on dirtdoctor.com, just click on the button that talks about the online courses, and you can see the one that has 15 chapters, teaches you everything about the natural organic program. If you have a question, do the Ask Howard's thing. There's a form there. The form looks like so, and you just fill it out and send it in to me. I'll give you an answer. Keep your questions as succinct as you can, because I like to get to all of them. And if you write too long an epistle, it sometimes takes too long to get through it. But I'll also cover the question for you on the podcast here and give you more detail about it. Hope to see you down in Waco this Saturday, and this Saturday I'll be up. You may not see this until Saturday, but if you see this before I'm there, I'm going to be at a show technology event up in Collin County this weekend. The one that you've got plenty of time for is down in Waco. That will be at a famous cemetery down there. Look at the details on dirtdoctor.com. And if you're into organics, continue to enjoy those organic gardens. If you haven't gotten into organics yet, give us a shot. The water, come on in, the water's fine, and you will find that you'll not only save money, but you'll enjoy gardening and landscaping a whole lot more. Hopefully my online stuff can help you. If you've got a question, once again, do the Ask Howard thing, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Thanks for being there, and see you next time.